Hi guys, it's James here once more. Today's video is all about press to handstand. Before we go any further, it's really important that you've watched the last 3 videos, so the ones on good handstand shapes, on good splits, and on good levers, because you will need all of those to be able to do a good press to handstand. Hopefully you've watched all those, so let's move on. Good press to handstand. Let's have a quick look at this video. So, thanks to Bearded Man from Instagram for his videos on good presses to handstand. Feel free to go follow him, guys. He's a great handstand worker, does lots of complex handstands. So before we get started on any of our press to handstands, because we're doing lots of work through splits, through levers, a lot of weight on hands, it is really important that you do a good warm-up and a good stretch, and you really warm up your wrists. So different ways to warm up your wrists on hands and knees, rocking backwards and forwards, putting your hands in all different positions, rocking side to side, hands upside down, all those sorts of things. As well as doing that, guys, I want you to go onto your hands, lift up onto your fingers, and then do the same thing in front support. So, first thing is the good technique, the good shape of a press to handstand. From our straddle stand, because that's where we're going to start from, we want to rotate the hips up to handstand with your shoulders over your hands and your hips then over your shoulders. A good way to practice this action without actually doing a press to handstand, because we know that's a little bit tricky, is to do a swim through on floor. So sitting in straddle, swim through, so through splits, through box splits, to your handstand shape. I'll try and show you one now. So, you saw my swim through. It wasn't the best. I've actually got some help today. Over to Riley, who's one of the gymnasts at Huntington Gymnastics Club.
Thanks, James. Happy to help. Hi, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your online training sessions.
Okay, guys, so from our straddle sit, which will be our straddle stand, we're going to rotate our hips through splits and then bring our legs together nice and slowly to what will be our handstand shape. And guys, you can see that here in this video. So from that straddle stand, he rotates his hips over his shoulders, over his hands, arms straight the whole time, and brings legs together. So as we get into our first few exercises, things to always remember in your press to handstands, guys. Always have your arms straight. Absolutely always. It is the golden rule. You want to try and open your shoulders so your hips are over your shoulders and your hands as you press. Your head is always in, so thinking about hiding your ears in between your arms. Lift through splits to rotate your hips and then slowly bring your legs together so you can keep your balance. If you rush, you tend to fall. And then hold a good handstand at the end. That handstand is a key point of the press to handstand. You must hold it for 3 seconds at the end in a good shape, guys. So it is hard to do a simple press to handstand well. All right, let's get started. So our first exercise is straddle walks. So what you're going to do, you're going to put your hands flat on the floor, keeping arms straight. You're going to lift your feet off the floor and walk forwards. Lift your feet, move them forwards, lift your feet, move them forwards. You're going to do this forwards, and you're going to do it backwards. In the backwards, make sure you lift your feet off the floor, big toes just off the floor, then push them backwards, and then move your hands backwards. Our next exercise is the same thing, but done in pike. It is trickier. You're going to lift your feet off the floor, moving your hips over your shoulders, step forwards, and then when you get to the end, stepping backwards. Please do this exercise slowly. The first video was sped up in the straddle. This is in real time, so nice and slow. So you're lifting and moving and lifting and moving, guys. Okay, our next exercise, supported headstand presses. So this is a headstand shape against the sofa or against the wall. And you're going to start in a tuck shape, just getting used to rotating your hips. So moving your toes down to the floor in your headstand and then up into handstand. If you can do that, then I want you to do the same thing in straddle. Okay, so rotating the hips on the way up and then bringing legs together afterwards. If you can do it in straddle, guys, I then want you to try it in pike. It is harder to do in pike because you are a longer lever. That means your toes are further away from the point that is rotating. It does make it trickier. Okay, so we're going to copy that exercise now, but without resting against anything. So you're going to do a headstand on the floor, and you're going to lift up and down. So we're going to start in that tuck shape. It is the easiest one to do. Then we're going to do it in straddle, and then we'll do the same thing in pike. When you're doing all of these exercises, it is really important that you keep your toes pointed and legs straight as much as you can, obviously apart from the tuck shape. And you try and get to that headstand and you pause in that headstand for 5 seconds. Get used to doing the action, the rotating of the hips over your body and the feet together, and then holding it still. That will be really important when we start to do our held handstands. Okay, next up we are going to begin to put a bit of weight on hands. And all we're going to do is jump through the actions. So we're going to jump through a tucked lift to handstand, jump through a straddled lift to handstand, and jump through a piked lift to handstand. This is the easiest way to mimic the actions after doing our swim through without actually using the strength that we might not have yet to press to a handstand. It will activate the same muscles, but it won't make it as hard. Alright then guys, give this one a go. Remember, as you're doing this action, of course you're going to have to bend your legs to create the jump, but as soon as your toes leave the floor, your legs should be as straight as you can. And don't worry if you can't make it up to handstand every time. Just the fact you're jumping and trying to lift, you will be working the muscles. Okay, this is where we're going to start to develop a bit more strength. So, what you're going to do, using a wall to help you, you're going to lift your feet off the floor and hold your feet off the floor for as long as you can. When you can do it well against the wall, as you can see Riley there, try and do it on the floor. But again, your arms must stay straight all the time. Okay guys, I've split the exercises into 3 groups. So what we've just covered now is our level 1 exercises, our first exercises in learning the press to handstand. And as you can see now, we've written that into a little bit of a program for you. So starting with our 10 swim throughs, going all the way through to lifting and holding 5 times for your maximum time. So you're really starting to build that strength. Key things, remember guys, head always in. Arms always straight, trying to open your shoulders, and when we do lift, we are trying to lift through splits. Okay, enjoy this guys. Here's your workout for you. Good luck. If you can do that, move on to our next set of exercises, which will be our level 2 exercises. So please feel free to pause it here so you can see these on the screen, and then you can work through the exercises. Take a photo on your phone if you want to record it. It's a brilliant way to remember those little exercises, guys. Right, let's move on to level 2. It is trickier from now. So our first level 2 exercise is our press to handstand now against the wall. So the same as we did, just lifting and holding, but now we are lifting all the way up to handstand. Again, we start in a tuck shape. It's a little bit easier. And then we're doing it in a straddle shape, hopefully through splits. Unlike me, I still need to work on those splits. I'll go watch that video again. And then through pike, pike being the harder one to do. If you can do it against the wall, guys, your next set is against a sofa. So actually there's less support here. You've got less to put your back against. It's only your arms that are supported against something lower. It doesn't have to be a sofa. It can be anything that's a little bit lower that can support your arms and your shoulders. And again, if you can do that, we do it in a tuck position, we do it in our straddle position, and in our pike position. Trying to do maybe 3 to 5 in each position to help build that strength. Okay, still using the sofa or that low surface, what we're going to do is we're going to face the other way. So now we're going to start working the last bit of the lift and the balance at the same time. So with your feet raised, it does make the lift a little bit easier. You're going to lift in your tuck, your pike and your straddle. And as you start to do this, and you're able to do this well, feel free to make that raised surface lower and lower so you're getting close to the floor. Now it is possible to fall over here, guys, so make sure you do have something behind you, just in case you do roll over like I did in the video. Okay guys, so those are our level 2 exercises. Again, they're written here for you to work through, a little program for you to do for your level 2. So if you can do level 1 well, making sure that arms are straight, head is in, shoulders are open and legs are straight, then we can work on our level 2 exercises. Our level 2 exercises finish with 5 goes at trying to press to handstand from the floor. So that idea of starting with our feet slightly raised and then lowering it and lowering it. If you've watched the levers video, you can see I did this by using stacked bucks rather than the sofa to stand on. So keep trying, guys. Keep working on level 2 until you get that press to handstand. Those straight arms are really important. It is the golden rule. When you can do a straddle press to handstand and you're working on your pike press to handstand, it's time to move on to a straddle lever and a half lever to handstand. And those are our level 3 exercises, which you can see next. So, lifts from a high lever. So either using chairs or stools, you're going to start from half lever and you're going to lift your hips up behind you to a pike stand position. When you're doing your levers, make sure you hold your lever for 3 seconds. Watch the levers video, guys, if you need to, for some good work and good tips on levers. As well as doing it in pike, you can also do it in straddle. And not only are we lifting from the lever to stand, but we're also lifting from stand to the lever. Okay, so when you can manage that, it's time to do it on the floor or lower. Please feel free to use parallettes if you want. So you're going to start by lifting your feet off the floor as you see in Riley's video, and then lowering down to straddle lever. As you do these exercises, guys, what is really important is straight arms, which Riley still needs to work on. When you can do it on the way down with gravity, I want you to go against gravity and do it on the way up, so holding your lever and lifting up to stand. When you can do it in straddle, like Riley does, do it in pike. Okay, so next up we're going to go from our straddle lever, we're going to lift to stand and stop, and then we add some of our other exercises, so we can start with a jump to handstand, and then eventually a lift to handstand. And then when you can do that, guys, we're going to take away that stop, so we'll go from our straddle lever, lift all the way up to our handstand. Always follow the golden rule, guys. Please have straight arms, Riley. Okay, guys. What you can do when you can do it from straddle is to also do it from pike. It is harder. So you could start on parallettes. You could start with your feet a little bit higher. One of the exercises that you can do when you are starting to master the press to handstand is to start from front support and then pike press to handstand, so you drag yourself in the whole way.
Thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Back to you, James.
Thank you, Riley. Keep practicing your press to handstands, fella. Make sure you keep your arms straight. That is the golden rule. So, here is your level 3 circuit, guys. Again, we've gone through all those exercises you've just seen since our last sort of set of exercises. And then I want you to finish, if we can do press to handstands quite well, with 3 attempts at complex press to handstands. So your choice. Now that could be from half lever, it could be from Russian lever if you know what that is, even manner. You could start in handstand, forward roll to straddle lever, and then lift back up. It's called endo roll. Now, advancing your handstand is tricky, and I'm not going to show you any clips here on how to advance your handstand, but as I've said before, if you follow Bearded Man on Instagram, He does lots of complex handstands. Feel free to follow him, watch the sort of stuff that he's doing, and maybe give that a go. But I would only advise you trying some of his work after you have mastered a very good press to handstand, from a good lever to a good lift to handstand that holds rounded back, head in, leg straight, toes pointed, all those things. Right then, guys, enjoy your handstands. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do, guys. Have fun.